What's up, guys? It's time to rank everything I saw in the month of September. Not just new releases, everything. Let's go. What's up, guys? It's monthly encasing time yet again. I always look forward to doing these just so I can kind of round up and rank everything that I watched for the last month. Like I said in the intro, you're going to see some classic movies on here too. One or two, a couple. Most of these are new releases. The month of October, it's going to be extra heavy duty beef noodle hearty, okay? Because I have just finished Halloween 4. I watched Halloween 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to watch the entire franchise. And this is the first time I've watched all of them in a row up to Halloween Ends. So I'm going to include that in the actual ranking for the month of October amongst all the other stuff. And there's a lot of horror. So I don't know, there might be 30, there might be 40, there might be 50 movies for the ranking in October. So you definitely don't want to miss that one, okay? But September, I have, I think, a dozen movies I'm gonna share with you on this one. So anyway, let's get started. And before I get started, I did just see the Smashing Machine and Coyotes, and those I believe are technically October movies. So they will be included in the October list. All right. So to start you off, I'm gonna give you a fan film, okay? Because if you remember, I reviewed Friday the 13th Vengeance, and I would say part 1 is the lesser of the two, but I think they're both really fun. But I think they're both kind of neck and neck, so I'll include both of them in one little category here, just because they're both encompassing the same story. And I think the big thing you're going to get out of these two fan films is more kills than you've ever seen in your entire freaking life. I mean, quality kills too, and I do think part 2 has the edge. But these are fan films, and you're going to notice that in the budget and in the acting. But really cool that they actually, have some legacy actors / characters from the original series. I mean, you got freaking Tom McLaughlin, who directed part 6. You got Tom Matthews in there, Darcy DeMoss, and there's probably a couple of others, okay? And by the way, I'm actually going to be doing a full Friday the 13th ranking, including some choice fan films. That's going to be coming soon. I still have to watch Roseblood, and then after that, I can go and do the full ranking. So expect that in the month of October. Okay, number 11 is going to be him, and I am kind of shocked that this one is in pretty much last place, given how much potential is there. When I saw the trailer for this, I was like, oh, that's my type of movie. I usually like these kind of artsy horror movies. You could tell that they were definitely trying to get really creative with the story here. And, there's a lot of thematic elements and whatnot in the movie, dealing with kind of selling your soul to the devil in the name of fame and glory, in this case in football. And some cool ideas, but I just don't think it was executed that well. And if I'm being honest, I think this movie needed a bigger budget. At least it looked like it did, because I think it was zeroed way too far into the training element, and that's fine and all. But when you're dealing with a world of football, I think there's a lot more that you would want to be able to put in there with this young guy who's kind of taking the reins of the superstar. I just wanted more, I guess. I guess that was the big thing about this movie. Okay, number 10, The Conjuring Last Rites. Look, these last two Conjuring movies, they don't really do too much for me. I tried to go back and watch Devil Made Me Do It again. I couldn't make it through about halfway. It just didn't hold my interest that much. And this movie, Last Rites, is kind of the same type deal. I think the Smurl family case is really interesting, but I think the case itself kind of takes a back seat to the Warrens and their daughter, and the fiance that the daughter's. I think they just focused a little bit too much on the actual Warrens, when I think throughout the franchise we've gotten enough, as far as the Warrens go. And if you look into the backstory of the actual Warrens, knowing the stuff that you really know and how kind of shady they were, especially Ed Warren, it doesn't really put a good taste in your mouth when you're watching these movies. And usually I can separate entertainment from the true story, and for the most part I can it's not like I can never watch the good Conjuring movies again, no. But when you're focusing mostly on the Warrens in this last movie like they do, it's hard for me to, I guess, sympathize. Number 9, and I will say right now, from this point on, I like everything I saw, all right? The Strangers, Chapter 2, this is the biggest surprise of the list. This is the one where if you said, Lee, which one are you going to guess is going to be like near the last. I guess this is kind of near the last, but I was quite surprised by how much I enjoyed this one, guys. I didn't really care for the first one just because it was a watered down remake of the original. Kind of pointless. Whereas this one right here, this is a different story. It's a cat and mouse chase. Starts out in the hospital and it goes through like quite a few different locations. But the real seller for this is the characters. You don't really trust anybody whatsoever. And so there's always this heightened sense of tension, even when there's not a lot of action on the screen, just because of the element of trust. You just don't trust anyone. And I think Madeleine Petsch does a really good job in this movie. Number 8, The Toxic Avenger 2025, the newest one with Peter Dinklage. I had a freaking blast with this movie. I think it definitely pays homage to the original without copying it whatsoever. It's definitely its own thing, but it still has a lot of that trauma DNA. You know, there is some really fantastical bloody violence, and I will say one of my all-time favorite kills of this year is in this movie. I won't spoil it here, but it's in the last act and it involves a car, and I was just floored by how great this freaking kill was. Loved it. And you will see the original on this list as well. I did watch the original after I watched this movie. Number 7, Night of the Reaper. Another really fun surprise that just kind of snuck upon us all. Snuck upon us all? Is that how you say that? This is a really fun little home invasion movie, but it kind of turns on its head around halfway through and goes into sort of a different territory in a really good way. It's very small scale in nature, but that doesn't take away from the creativity that this movie has. I think Brandon Christensen is really finding his voice as a horror director, and you could tell that there was a lot of love and blood, sweat, and tears and passion that went into this movie. Really, really fun, actually. Okay, number 6 is the original Toxic Avenger. I actually watched this movie twice, just because it was so damn freaking fun. And this might technically be my very first trauma movie, at least from the 80s. And I had so much enjoyment for this particular flavor of horror that it made me like seek out other trauma movies. One of them was the high school movie. Let me know in the comments. I can't remember the name of it, but I watched that one too. I think Nukem High. I think that's what it was called. But that one was really fun. And I just like this flavor. It's almost kind of like Cannon films. Like that's the horror version of Cannon films, even though Cannon started out in horror and then they branched out to action. This feels sort of like that. But I like how bold these movies are. They don't hold back whatsoever. They are all about excess in every fashion, be it violence, be it nudity. It's all there, and they're just really fun. Okay, number 5 is the Alien Earth series, I guess, the 8 episodes. The series just finished up, or the season just finished up, I believe last week. I like it. I do like the series. I don't think it's perfect. And I reviewed every episode up until the 5th. And then I remember after the 5th episode, the Charlie Kirk thing happened, and the world just went to shit, not just because of Charlie Kirk, but just everything. I just remember that was a really, really bad time, and it put me in such a big funk. And I know some of you guys are going to be like, why are you so upset about Charlie Kirk? It's not that. It's the world. Everything that was going on around that death just really screwed me up. So much so that I kind of skipped over episode 6. I didn't get to watch it until later, and you know how YouTube is. If you put it out too late, you'll get 3 views. So I figured I'm not going to go back and review that one. You kind of had to just stay on the ball, which I didn't. So that's why I didn't review any of the other episodes. But my real quick thoughts on the last 3 episodes were, I think they were all just kind of on par with each other. Every episode. Episode 5, the kind of flashback episode, was the best episode out of the whole thing. But I still had a really good time. And I do think a lot of people were, I think, too hard on this show, if I'm being honest. Yeah, not perfect. Definitely had some issues. Time will tell if I want to even go back and rewatch the show again. But there was some cool stuff in there, I think, and I like how they got creative with, the creatures and whatnot. Especially that freaking eyeball creature. That thing screwed me up. So I like that this series definitely got under your skin, and I think it was the children aspect that kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I don't know. But I think it was a unique story to tell, okay? But I can't praise the set design enough on the freaking show. It looked amazing, okay? Very much like the original Alien. Okay, top 4. Number 4 is Traumatica, another really fun new movie that just surprised the hell out of me. Rebecca Kennedy, and Pierre Sagardis directing this. They worked together on Two Witches, which I was a really big fan of. And this movie I thought was just really bold and really going for it, not just in terms of like, you know, violence and excess and all that, but also just getting really creative with the story itself and keeping me on my toes. It starts off sort of like in this one room with this demonic character terrorizing this child, because the whole theme of this movie is about child abuse. So it really touches some like taboo subjects, okay? It's not going to be comfortable for everybody. But then it sort of changes gears, even time-wise, because it jumps forward, I think, like 15, 20 years, and goes into some territories that were quite surprising and quite satisfying, actually, and really reminded me of, and maybe an homage to, Halloween. Number 3 is a documentary, Unknown Number, The High School Catfish. This really freaking blew me away, and really just, you know, I think it caught the zeitgeist. Like, everybody was talking about this and what happened, you know, and I guess it's safe to spoil this because I think most of you have probably, if you didn't even see the documentary, you probably saw 1,000 memes on Facebook and other places, you know, about the case. But, you know, spoiler alert right here. The idea that a mother could actually catfish her own daughter, and not just catfish, but say some of the most vile, heinous things. And the only thing I could think is that mother is severely and mentally screwed up in the head, you know, fully a narcissist for sure, but just normal people don't do that. And it was quite disturbing, but a very well put together documentary as well. Number 2, The Long Walk, the Stephen King movie that I didn't even plan on seeing because it kind of passed me by. I remember everybody started talking about it and asking me to review it, and I was like, well, maybe I need to go see this movie, and I saw it, and it's number 2 for the month, and it's probably in the top 10 at least for the year. And this was just a breath of fresh air. It was something different. It wasn't necessarily horror as much as it was a drama with a real sense of dread, because it's these young people, you know, a representative from each state, and they have to just do the long walk. Pretty much all of them are going to die, certain death, except for the last man standing. But this whole movie, to me, was about relationships and friendship and dealing with inevitability. Because, you know, everybody that's a contestant here, they know that there's a good chance they're not going to make it out of this. So just a beautiful story. One of Stephen King's oldest stories as well, from what I hear. But also Philip Seymour Hoffman's son is phenomenal in this, and I think it's David Johnson, the young actor that was in Alien Romulus, is also phenomenal in this. If I messed up the name, I'll put it up here. But yeah, Long Walk, really, it's still with me. It stayed with me, and I love movies like this. And number 1, one battle after another, and talk about a controversial movie. And you know what? I kind of like that the movie was bold, and I'm going to say it. It sort of picked a side. No, it didn't sort. It definitely picked a side. And whether I am for or against that side, or in the middle of that side, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because the movie is directed beautifully, it's highly entertaining, and it has very interesting characters. And I don't have to agree with every character that I watch. I don't, okay? I just need to be entertained. And I think you can have politics in movies and maybe get rubbed the wrong way, but as long as it's directed well and the characters have something to offer in the way of entertainment, then it works. And I think this movie gave a lot in terms of entertainment. I think Leonardo DiCaprio created one of the most memorable characters of the year. Benicio del Toro always delivers. You know, he's probably that one actor that you can count on the most. And then I liked a lot of the newer actors in this movie as well, especially Chase Infinity. Looking forward to seeing her star rise, which I'm sure it will. But Paul Thomas Anderson, it's not every day that you get a new PTA movie, and I thought this was one of his best, for sure. Maybe controversial to put it at number 1. My comments are going to be interesting, I'm sure of that, but that's okay. My list. So I want to see your list in the comments, okay? Rank everything you saw. If you want to rank just the new releases, that's fine. If you want to throw in everything else that you watched, that's fine too. But I'm curious to see where you guys rank a lot of these movies that you saw, okay? And I thank you guys for watching these. I reviewed more new release movies in the month of September, I think, than I have in a while. I'm trying to really step up my review game for new releases, and I've noticed a lot of newer subscribers saying, hey, really dig your style. And I think that's the big thing about being a YouTube reviewer, is just having your own style, right? And not trying to force it. And that's pretty much me. I can't change who I am. That's how I That's how I review, and maybe my style's not for everybody, and that's fine. But it's for a couple of you guys, and I like that. I love you guys. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do FIFA Fridays. Follow me, Drumdums, on my social support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me a coffee. You know, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. And Drumdum out. My back hurts. Are you guys having any back pain lately? It's driving me freaking crazy. Jesus.